Welcome to Sunday Live Chat. You got to touch the button and say you're okay with it to go live. And today, live again with my special guest here, probably a guest that I have looked forward to more than any other guest, Mr. Steven Gilmore. Holy
Hey,
Hi,
thanks
Steven.
for having me on.
You're on. Welcome to Sunday Live Chat. I really have to say that when I first thought of Sunday Live Chat, of doing these things, you were one of my first ideas of like a person that I would love to get on and talk to about things, because if we don't get through it all today, Steven, I hope that we can come back and do a part two. But I just know there is so much stuff that we can talk about. I barely know where to begin. But first of all, welcome. How are you doing? You look great.
Thanks, Kevin. You look good too. I'm doing good. Other than all this COVID stuff has kind of sent me in a bit of a loop. You know what I mean? Or like it has all people. Plus, I don't know if you guys got it, but we got it. I don't know, a few months ago, and man, it knocked me right out for about a month.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad to hear. I mean, no, fortunately, we didn't get it. And if we did get it, then we must be the people that are immune to it or something. Because
We got boosters, we got, everything. We were cautious whenever we go out, still cautious for that matter, when we're in stores and stuff, and we still got it. So there you go.
And, it's fair to say that, barely anybody gets a chance to see each other in real life since then. I was seeing just last week, I was seeing people that I haven't seen for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
We consider ourselves like close friends. It's like, you literally live like just a few miles away from me here in Los Angeles, and Silver Lake area, actually, I should point out, pretty cool area.
In the poor part of Silver Lake.
Yeah. What's funny is that you migrated down to Los Angeles from Vancouver, BC, the same as I did. And you came down here before me, and then I followed you down. So I think.
Are you sure? I thought you were here before me.
No, you came first, and then you went back. You actually went back for a short bit, and then you came back down.
Yeah, I went back because dealing with mental issues and stuff from my wife being killed. I went back to Vancouver for a couple of years to try to get my shit together, basically. And then before my visa ran out, I moved back. And then I've been in this place, actually. This was the place that I moved back to. And I've been here now for over 20 years.
That's awesome. So did you manage to get the same house back? No, you didn't live in that house before, right?
I used to live in Beverly Hills.
I remember I visited that place, and I've always want to watch out for my friends, and I know that was a really intense period that you had to go through, and I was like so sorry when you were going through that, and I was really glad to see that you rebounded and have thus sort of like absolutely returned to your classic form.
Well, I think I may have returned to my classic form, except for I think I have a lot more empathy now than I did before that happened.
Then that's possibly a good thing.
Oh, that's totally a good thing.
Did you find that being in Vancouver was kind of a less empathetic place to be?
Well, no, because I was working really hard at the time, and I love the rain anyway. So, I still have friends there, and on my whole family as well. So, I don't know. I just needed to get away from LA for a while, and then once I got my shit, I also went to see a therapist while I was up there as well, but it didn't help out too much. So, I quit doing that, and then, just try to get over the tragedy on my own.
I kind of find the winters in Vancouver became more hard to take over the time. And for me, it was kind of like looking at when there's a tragedy and a trauma around you and someone passes, like the next thing you need is kind of like a page change somehow. And, I think for me, that was kind of important to do. I don't know if you feel like when you come down to California, was it a page change? Is it a page change?
No, because I was already here. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was just, I, I don't know, Kevin. I don't even know why I came back, to be quite honest with you, but I did.
There is, especially at this point.
I mean, I feel this is my home now, more than Vancouver was.
Yeah, what's weird is that I've lived in this house longer than I've even lived in my parents' house growing up. So
Yeah,
it's really strange. Yeah, 25 years now here. What's important to point out, though, was the vibrancy that Vancouver had and that we both shared. I think if that city was still in existence and that city was still sort of vibrating at that same resonance that it would have been harder to leave. But
I agree. Yeah.
watch the city slowly lose all of its iconic spaces and places and people, for that matter, kind of made it a little easier as well. But man, the golden dawn, Steven, I've got to put a smile back on your face there. We were talking.
I take myself too seriously.
We were talking earlier about like how far we go back, and I think we both kind of reminded each other that the first time we met was just like you can't really we just have to tell the story, I think. And it basically starts, well, first of all, like I should probably say that does the story really start for you with the love affair?
Well, certainly when I was 18 years old, I moved out from Calgary to Vancouver, and the love affair was one of the first places that kind of took me in, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I think that was maybe around 75, maybe 1975 or 76.
So that would have been when
It would
during
have been 75 because I was 18 years old.
it would have been the disco era. Was that during the time when they had the sit-ins start, or was that still before that?
That was before that, because I'm one of the initiators of the sit-ins. So
That is awesome. But it's important to also point out that, which really blew my mind, is that you designed this logo, which I think is, to many Vancouverites, like it is an iconic piece of Vancouver history, in the fact that it was a big neon sign. It marked the place. It was a place that I think if you went in it in the day, it was pretty life-changing.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
designed this logo when you were still a teenager, though, right?
Basically, yeah, I was 18 years old. That's a teenager, right?
Absolutely. How did you connect to be already designing something at such an early age for such an iconic place?
Well, I don't know if it was iconic. I mean, it kind of became iconic more than at the time. It was, it was a gay disco. I had a lot of gay friends who helped me out too when I moved out to Vancouver, like, places to stay and things like that. And I knew the manager, Kenny, and I don't know, he knew that I doodled, did some stuff, did artwork and things like that, and asked me to design a new logo. And so that's what I did.
Well, for me, I mean, what's kind of cool is that I was taken there one night by some punk rockers that insisted that I have to go to this place because they play the Dead Kennedys, and alongside of disco, like sort of like underground disco, which seemed at the time. What was
Tina X and things like that.
What was the sit-in based on? Was it in implementing more styles of music other than disco?
That's exactly what it was. It was like, and it seems so naive right now too when you think about it. But I think Richard Evans was a DJ at the time, and he was, a very talented DJ, but he was limited, and that was strictly to disco or dance beats. And we wanted to hear, the stuff that we were listening to, because by that point, the club had kind of been taken over. Maybe half the clientele was like kind of quotation marks, new wave kind of people. And, we just thought we want to hear more of our stuff. So we staged a sit-in on the dance floor and refused to dance until Richard played some music that we liked.
That's such a great story. I mean, I came along as a result of the punks, and that was, I'm pretty sure, late '79. And this is, they were already transitioned by then. But the DJ that was DJing there at that point, Michael Wonderful, was he the one that kind of like brought in the transition more so than Richard Evans?
Oh yeah, Richard Evans was fired. Yeah. So yeah, definitely more. It was. I think Richard might have played a few, like maybe Kraftwerk or things like that, like something a little bit popular, but it was definitely Michael that took the reins and completely changed the music at the club.
And it was such a life-changing place. I can't stress enough about how the first time that you heard in these days Fad Gadget or the Human League being boiled or many of the classics, Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart. Many classics that were all coming out, Orchestral Maneuvers, many of these, Electricity, many of these classics that you would find me running to the DJ booth, which was then on the dance floor, asking over and over, what is this? What is this? So I got bored of that and thus had to end up in that booth somehow with Michael Wonderful and watching what each record was he was pulling out.
Yeah, you became a light man there.
Yeah, and so I became the unpaid light man and just did it. I had my daytime job at Safeway and was the nighttime light man. And I never learned more about music ever than through this period. And it was a place like I had to be there to do this. So I showed up for work one night and Kenny, the guy you mentioned, was in the DJ booth and he was spinning. And I was like, wow, what happened?
Yeah.
And he didn't really give me any story at all. And then a short time later, this guy came into the DJ booth and walked in and began to put on a Stranglers album. And that was mine and you's first meeting.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that was our first meeting. Do you think it was our first meeting? Because
that's my first meeting, as far as I knew, because I wouldn't have any association.
Yeah.
Before that, you know
why Kenny threw me in there is because after we did the sit-in thing, he said, "Well, give me a list of all the songs that you think that we should be playing at the club." So that's what I did, and that was whenever that was, like in '77 or '78 maybe. And yeah, apparently John didn't want to hire me as a DJ there because you know, well, I don't care if I admit it or not. I used to steal half-drank drinks out of the bus trays. You know, because I was a poor artist, right? And I still wanted to get drunk. So, you know, as soon as the waitresses or waiters would, you know, there was a slot there and then sometimes they would put the drinks up on top of this slot, and then I'd, like, you know, to try to, I don't know, organize the glasses or whatever it was. And if I saw one that was like half full or whatever, I would grab it and drink it.
Man, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen, you know, Al Nelson, or I must admit to doing that myself. Something you did, you know?
Yeah. Oh, there's Rick.
There's Rick. Pick up to Rick Ford. This is one of the waiters. Very flamboyant and wonderful, as were. I wish I had more pictures of all the people that work there, but so many memorable people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here we have Arnold, the doorman.
Yeah, the doorman. Yeah,
he's the sweetest guy in the world. But I heard if you ever wronged him, you were like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, well, they had another bouncer there that was unbelievably efficient. His name was Wayne.
Oh yeah.
And he was a smaller guy, but I saw him like put down guys that were so big that it was like I was awestruck and kind of flabbergasted, I guess, because he was a mean man. Well, and, he later went to jail for or prison, I should say, for murder.
That doesn't surprise me. A lot of these bouncers back then were some scary people, and it wasn't that easy to get in there. They always had lineups and stuff, but if you were blessed with one of these magical cards, then
Card. Yeah.
you could evade the line. And luckily, I guess from our status, we were able to evade the lines. And Arnold,
Well, because we worked there, Kevin.
yeah, Arnold was our friend. So basically, I always found that once you entered the doors of the Love Affair, you were in another world. Different set of rules, different set of like everything. The music and everything defined everything. But
Not to mention the sound system.
the sound system was unbelievable. Probably still one of the best clubs I've ever been to. Just the way it was set up. And you know what's kind of a shame is that there's not a lot of photos of Love Affair as far as like what it was. This is a great shot. This would be looking later,
probably
looking from the DJ booth area on the rise tables, looking towards the entrance over here. And the bar was over to the right over here, the bathrooms at the back. But up here was what we called the blocks. And if you had the guts, you would get up on the stage here and you'd be dancing on the blocks. And, that was part of it.
You were stoned enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of your mind.
I remember that you and I met Chris and Cozy there.
Yeah. There's my hand.
There's your ring in the middle. I'll also remember that if you carried this pack of matches around with you, it was risky because if you put it down anywhere, people will give you a second look. And I was actually proud of that. I actually I would take the matches to work and purposely drop them in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
But people would come in and be like, "Hey, whoa, what?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, those are mine." And they'd all be like, whatever. But it's important to point out, like, man, I remember Killing Joke even played at the Love Affair.
Yeah, that was weird.
Here it is, and it was like 1981, and it was.
They were too big for that club. I thought they should have played at the Commodore.
Oh, absolutely. But because they played in the club, I remember if you look here at how many speakers there are, that it was so loud that it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and the sound was just incredible. But we saw some amazing things go down at Love Affair, like Divine, Killing Joke, and Wall of Voodoo is probably still one of my favorite memories of Love Affair. But
I did the poster for that Wall of Voodoo gig.
Oh man, what a show that was! And let's get into art in a second here. But like, I'm still tracing our history with music. But like, man, as it turned out, you ended up becoming what I would consider to be the most iconic DJ of that time period, which is what years did you work there as the main DJ?
I think it was like 80 to 84, maybe.
Pretty iconic period.
But you've got a better memory than I do, so you might, because you stopped doing lights. I know that.
I stopped doing lights because Images in Vogue started to become. I wasn't even in Images in Vogue yet when I met you as the light man. That was still something that I hadn't even met those guys yet.
Okay, so maybe we met in the 70s then, late 70s. No, because I didn't start DJing until the 80s. So
that's right. Well, we met the first night you started DJing, which was I'm going to say it was the fall of 1980 because I was already working at Safeway.
It was Halloween night.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, you see, we're putting a date on it. So Halloween night, 1980. That does coincide with my dates because that's when I just started working at Safeway, and I had this. Actually, I had this haircut.
Oh man,
remember?
Yeah, I remember.
That's kind of like the look I had, and it got a bit shorter than that. We ended up playing Love Affair with Images in Vogue. I think it was our second gig or very early on. The Love Affair was incredibly supportive, but also like, I don't know, man. I don't know where all the people came from, but basically that club was just, no matter what, it was a place to be. And it was exciting to take part in all this.
Yeah, it was an exciting time and a really good learning period for me anyways. Like music, I was just starting graphic arts career, I guess you could say. I didn't even plan on doing graphic arts, by the way. I was only doing it to supplement my income for being a fine artist. So I don't know, here it is 40 something years later, and I'm still doing graphic design.
But it's incredible that you end up doing something that you're natural at, and I guess you were a natural but didn't realize it. I remember that the first time that I saw one of the arts pieces you did, it was this piece.
Yeah, 1981.
This was like before I knew that you'd done the Love Affair logo. When I learned that you had done the Love Affair logo, I learned that, believe it or not, after you had started doing the Skinny Puppy stuff, and I was like thinking like, why didn't I know that then? So it was mind-blowing. But this was the first thing I saw, and it was also a great gig. Popular front with guests 5440. 5440 has gone on to be like a huge band in Canada.
Yeah.
Just the times. Is that the first time you did a gig poster with the SRG at the bottom like that?
I don't really know, Kevin. I can't say. I mean, I did do a lot of posters for Periscope before this, I think, anyways, for Periscope Productions. And, they're the ones that brought in, well, Voodoo, well, they brought in everybody because they were the local booking company there. And I kind of did the posters cheap. I think I did them for either $50 or $100. And in turn, I got VIP passes to every concert they put on. So whatever concert I wanted to go to, I could also go, get into backstage and meet the bands that I loved and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, no, I remember that you were totally into music, and half the things that you and I used to talk about were records.
Probably, yeah.
And,
well, I still am into music for that matter.
Yeah, and that's great though. But so no, does this actually comes before 5440 then?
That's the first album cover I ever did, yeah.
And
that was for the guy from Periscope Productions. He also managed a couple bands. I think it was E and this band called the Dills. Is that right? Like I think it was a punk band, a Vancouver punk band. And yeah, that was the first album cover and the first oil painting I ever did as well.
Yeah, it's important to point out that at the same time, you're also meticulously painting. Yeah. And every time I would go over there, you'd have a canvas set up and being very, very, very meticulously into, definitely you weren't like the guy that would rush on the painting. You would spend quite a while on a painting, right?
Yeah, that's an understatement. It takes me, I usually work on a painting these days, one every 7 years. So, there's no rush.
Why rush? I mean, I think it's important to always be just feel when it's right, it's right.
No, for me, it's more, I don't want to contradict Kevin, but I need to put a roof over my head. And every time I want to do a painting, I got another job, you know what I mean? But, and I never seem to get enough time off to do to properly paint. Because there's always, the bills to pay.
That's interesting. That I don't think we've ever had this discussion. I've always just talked to you about we've worked so much on stuff together. It's either we're talking about imagery or music or something to that nature. We're never really talking about how you really feel about, what if you're meeting your goals or your dreams and your desires and stuff like that.
Do any of us ever reach the goals though? Really? I think, you're constantly, you might think you reached a goal, but then you're never, well, I'm never satisfied anyways. Maybe other people are, but I'm never satisfied with, I don't rest on my laurels, if that's the term. But there we go.
And then, of course, I guess Joe took this picture, and then did he come to you and say it's time for us to make an EP.
Yeah.
This was the beginning of my, I guess my association again with you, where I think it was like just the association and the fact that you had done the Popular Front thing, and I think that was it. I think that basically we were going on that alone, and then from
I also did that little, not free, but that promotional 45 before this. It was like in a green sleeve, and we got stamps made, and everything was hand stamped. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. So that came up before that EP, right?
oh my God, it does say graphics by SRG. I thought this was, because it just says this, I actually didn't know. And again, well, of course I know, because it has the Rising Sun logos.
Yeah. That was from one of the posters that I did for you guys.
Not only that, but like classic like business cards at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Man, you save a lot of stuff, Kevin.
Classic stuff. Oh, I'm a hoarder. Well, only of good stuff, because you got to hang on to history. Because if I didn't hang on to history, Steven, our album covers would look like this.
Yeah, I don't mind that, actually. I remember you showing that on another talk, and yeah, that's, I like that sleeve.
That was just one of the first things ever drawn up for Skinny Puppy when it became sort of an idea that came. Well, it's playing some that. You hear that radio is playing music over there?
Yeah.
It is. How could that be happening? Look, it turned off. Okay, I'm telling you, there's a ghost in this house, and I'm glad we captured that live on radio or on the chat here, Steven.
Yeah.
Many things happen in this room that are cannot be said. There is no power on any of that unit over there.
Really, it's not even plugged in.
No, I cannot explain that, but let's go with the flow. That's brilliant. Okay, where were we? We're talking about Images in Vogue and like the early association with how we translate from being just club friends into being like graphically active. And I think like in those days, what was cool about Vancouver is that there was a lot of street postering for gigs and activities.
Yeah, and I did a hell of a lot of street posters back then.
And a lot of cool ones.
Yeah. I don't have a copy of that one.
That you could see just, everywhere when you're walking up and down the street.
Yeah.
Of course, the Lust for Love has another one of your paintings.
That's actually a colored pencil drawing.
Pencil drawing?
Yeah.
And you with the Images in Vogue logo, which become the logo of the band, I think pretty much all up to this day.
Yeah.
Some of the posters. I think
that was for a benefit thing, right?
Yeah. And I believe that was near one of the last gigs that I did with Images. I always thought this was pretty early as well. This is 1981. I think this was the first show we did at the Love Affair. But I don't know. I always liked how you were, utilizing images that were right at the time for the way it felt. The times feel like when I see these things, I can feel the times.
I remember this one. Yeah.
Glenn Nelson and Images in Vogue at the Love Affair. That's July 82. We move forward into the Images in Vogue. What do you call this? It's kind of like we used to call it the airport landing album.
It is an airport. Yeah, it's an aerial view of an airport, or my interpretation of an aerial view of an airport. Yeah.
One thing I love about this album is the colors.
Yeah.
The colors are just really nice and dense. And then another thing I like about
I'm going to have to borrow that off you, Kevin, because I don't have a copy of it, and I need to scan one in for my archives.
Oh, anytime, man. You can always find that here. Many of the records we'll be talking about today, I'll be showing you real items that are actually, in some cases, even sealed. So this one's not sealed, but I'll bet you it's unplayed.
Yeah.
The In the House album followed that up.
That was all spray paint, that background.
many again posters of touring. Again, Steven, all over there. Just absolutely an association made. And from this point on, I'm saying to people that, you know, I can't imagine not having a sleeve that was thought of by you. Oh, that was always one of my favorites. All Love. That was the 12-inch, and was that photographs already by Kevin Westenberg, or is that still before him?
I think that was Derek London, maybe. Let me see the credits. Yeah, Derek London.
Yeah, Derek London. That became before your association that is soon coming here in the historical pages here. But before too long, I mean, it's got to be said, you know, we lived in downtown Vancouver, which was a walkable city. Yeah. I mean, I could walk over to your house and in a few minutes.
Yeah.
From where we were. So we kind of had this cool association to be able to talk commonly. But you also worked at a record store down that street, didn't you?
I did. On Robson Street.
And we always went in there. I always associate that record store with you again, because when I go in there, you would. Okay, what's going on? This can't be possible. That can't be possible. I just turned it up, like the speaker's on, but I don't know where it's coming from, but that is just unbelievable. I always associated like that record store with stuff like, I remember the Chrome. We were in the Chrome era. Remember the band Chrome? Yeah. And so it was like really early as far as like releases were concerned, as far as where we were at with bands. And I don't even think the experimental scene really started that much other than Throbbing Gristle at that point. But you were fully into Throbbing Gristle. I remember, I think you and Bill Lieb were one of the first guys that had made me listen to Throbbing Gristle.
Yeah, Throbbing Gristle, Cabaret Voltaire. There was this guy called Zev too.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Portion Control. I don't know. There's a lot of those early industrial bands.
Lots of good stuff. And then you were always like, you were talking always about the art that you like too. I guess Neville Brody and stuff were big inspirations along with.
Totally. Big time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Especially the stuff that he did for Fetish Records.
Yeah, I mean, awesome art, always like first class, just like yours. I remember when we come and see you, though, you like could peer. Well, I don't know if we tried to peer in this little window.
Yeah, that's my studio, Kevin. I think that window is like maybe 10 inches by 18 inches or something. It was just the tiniest like hellhole down there.
But that house had a vibe, and you know, you had it's important to say you also had this part too. But
yeah, I had upstairs. Yeah.
Now you told me recently that the downstairs was carpeted over dirt.
It was just carpet on dirt. Yeah, and every time it would rain, these massive like mushrooms would sprout out from the sides of the wall. It was just gross down there. That's like
the classic Vancouver story of the old days. So, you know, this house is probably selling for like $7 million now.
Oh, at least, yeah.
We were over in this area here. It was like pretty much walking distance.
Yeah.
At the time, I was from this area, and Steven used to come over here by then. Now at this point, and visit me at this Safeway a couple times while I was working.
Yeah.
And oddly, Ogre was shopping over there, and I thought, like, what the hell is this guy shopping over? So I went to a party one night, and Ogre was at the party, and I said, "Hey, I'm your Safeway cashier," and that's how we met. And we made a couple of songs, and I was walking down the street one day, and believe it or not, this is sort of like where this restaurant called Nemoto's used to be.
Oh, really? It's a Banana Republic now?
No, I guess it's a Banana Republic. Or yeah, it was like right in this area. And
no, that whole building is new.
Yeah, this thing's all new. It's all been ripped down. What was there before, culture lost again.
Yeah.
used to live in this building right over here, and he used to shop at this store. It kind of gives me shudders when I look at this picture,
Well,
actually.
that was a corner store though, right?
It's a corner store.
Yeah.
And
I used to live like just right around the corner from there, from
that's
where you
right.
pointed out now.
And we lived in this building, and you live literally right around the corner. We meet in this place here. But on one, oh, I think I have some pictures of what your house looks like today.
Yeah.
It doesn't look, it looks like it's being worked on. So they're probably restoring it, but it's covered with trees.
Yeah. It always had those big trees.
Yeah. But that is very close to the thing. But I remember I was walking up the street one day and I went into Melissa's records where you were working. And basically you had right there in front of you already made a cover for the band that you had heard that Ogre and I were thinking and working and talking about an idea, and you had already made this.
That's right.
Before the record.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic image to a lot of Skinny Puppy fans. They might not realize that the stimulation to actually make this record was created by you showing me this and saying this
It's done.
Yeah, this wish was ready to go. And
Yeah.
I add that, it's hard to pick up, but I remember your original image had this type of gloss on it too. Did it not?
Yeah, because it was on a transparent film, and that's how I got the whites and the grays and stuff. I would have to paint it on there on film.
I mean,
that looks like an original pressing.
This is a Play It Again Sam one. I have a as well, but the Play It Again Sam one is a little bit shinier. I always loved. I almost consider this like the iconic Steven Gilmore thing, is to have the suggestion of the overlay by the pixelated overlays.
Do you know who that is? It's like some guy from like the Brothers 4 or something like that. One of those kind of schmaltzy folky bands from the 60s, the early 60s.
Wow.
That's who that dude is. But I was looking at it with a loop, and I thought that guy he's supposed to look happy, like in the photo, but he looked really creepy. So I blew it up. Because originally it was probably about, I don't know, a quarter, maybe not even a quarter of an inch high.
So what's important to point out here, folks, is that this is before the time of computers.
Yeah.
So the amount of like idea and sort of like fulfilling your, like even the credits, weren't these all done by hand?
Those were all done with Letraset, yeah. On that particular one, yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, and I know you, and I know that you.
It took me forever.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist, and I absolutely know that if something wasn't right, that you wouldn't let it be. But it's like, if you look at that and you think about laying out all those, each letter by letter from Letraset, man. Now, what happens if you mess up and you gotta fix it? Does it show some blemish on there that you're not happy with, and you got to go back and do that again?
Well, I guess you could just scrape off the Letraset and do it again. Or I got pretty proficient at Letraset.
I can only imagine. And did you have some way that where you could actually make a custom font, or was it you just basically had to seek out all of these fonts that you were utilizing?
Well, that was all fonts, yeah. But yeah, no, I created a lot of my own fonts as well. Or back then they weren't called fonts; they were called typefaces. But
so, where do you think that skeleton came from? Where is that from?
It was a thing about. If I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong, but this is what my memory tells me, is it was an article in the Vancouver Sun about a Native Indian girl that had been murdered.
Wow. Now that's become more like relevant to me in this day and age. I won't go into detail about that, but these stories that keep coming out about the Indigenous peoples and the wrongdoings just ever grow per year.
Yeah.
That's interesting that that's already kind of touching on this.
And I don't know, before you there, oh, well, people can't see me pointing, but my little logo, the second kind of white blotch on the spine, that's my logo on there.
Awesome. I don't know. I still think that like this image, and as well like the T-shirt that went with it, became type of like this thing that I mean, I got to be
I
honest.
had $1 for every one of those T-shirts that were sold, including the bootlegs. Well, if any of us had $1 for them, we'd be rich.
Yeah, I mean, there's a dark story behind that. I thought Nardwar gave the best question about that. You can check out the Nardwar interview about that. But I you know, there wasn't a lot of kids in the day that didn't go out and get one of these shirts. And
That's possibly a bootleg, that one.
yeah, I'm not too sure about this this one.
That's the one that I redesigned in the 90s.
Yeah, this was added, right? That circular thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got one of the originals, actually I do in the other room. Oh, let's just see. I know I have it. Go into the library. Because it's quick. I'm pretty sure this is one of the iconic ones. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to point out what makes it, that I can tell right away what makes an original, because then other people will be able to copy that. But yeah, that's the original.
And I think it's probably, yeah, you can see it's like got the old labels and stuff. But anyways, this was stuffed in
It's not just the labels, there's other things too. There's parts of the design that I can tell make it not original.
So
by the way, I'm having a cigarette.
So there is differences in the in the designs in that sense.
Yeah, I know the ones that I did, and I know the bootlegs. Yeah, because I know there's certain things that people don't pick up on the bootlegs, and they can't really scan it from the T-shirts. So unless they had an original one, which I highly doubt. Yeah, I just know because there's certain things that I used that were only available at that time.
And it's around this time that we started our association with Network. And I guess everybody in the world that's ever heard any music on Network should know that Steven also designed the N logo. And
which I never got paid for, by the way, ever.
And you know, there's a book to be, either that or a book or a film to be made one day about this, the whole story. But yeah, I wish we could say that there was just like a fantastic situation to talk about in that world. So we'll just skip it.
Okay.
But you know, moving forward,
you want to see my smoke coming out of my ears and stuff. You know?
I mean, it's important to point out that like you also did a hell of a lot of covers for other bands that appeared on Network. And we're at the time when Network was like really, you know, kind of like supporting more. I don't know if you call it underground music or different type of music.
I would say it was more underground music. They kind of turned toward pop in the 90s and stuff. Oh yeah, I love that sleeve.
And so many great sleeves that you're associated to with Network.
That rounded type, that was all like. All had to be laid out by hand. Oh my God. And the manufacturer type as well, that was my design. That was my font.
How do you make a font for Letraset? Was there a procedure?
No, I didn't do it for Letraset. I would have to draw it. Like same with the Gruesome Twosome, I would just have to draw it like either on Ruby Lit film, which is where you cut it out of red film and then you take away the parts that you don't like or that you don't want. I mean,
oh wow.
And or pen and ink, like the skull on this and the rays coming out from his head. Those are pen and ink, and the Gruesome Twosome type is with Ruby Lit film. And again, Ruby Lith film for Mauve. Yeah, whatever, those are fun. But what was cool with this is I had a friend that worked up at UBC, the University of British Columbia, and she got me in to do a session with the electron microscope, and it was just a fascinating thing. I'll never forget it. It was just so cool to go into this world. Like, that's the background is the eye, the top of the eye of a spider, and then this is the spider's head right here in the
How
corner.
scary.
Oh, it was so cool. Like, it was like I felt like I was in a submarine or something. Like peering out of the window of a submarine. It was just an amazing experience.
Classic severed heads.
Great shirt. I remember doing the t-shirt for that, and I love that shirt. Dwayne, actually, there's a photo of Dwayne out there with this shirt on.
Classic times. You know,
These
really,
these were all part of like there was a set of three 12 inches that were all part of the network compilation at the time. There it is. There's the other one. And there's the other one.
Chris and Cozy. I mean, I was really proud of the network at this point for the fact that they were merging into this area with so many great artists and so many cool things.
I love this guy. I love Mark from MC 900 for Jesus. He's a wonderful person.
Absolutely. You know, does anybody know if MC 900 for Jesus is still active or what he's up to?
I think he's I just had, well, it sounds like I just said, but 3 years ago he was in LA, and we went out for drinks and dinner and stuff. And yeah, I think he was thinking of doing some live gigs and things like that.
Excellent.
Still thinking about it, or still pursuing it. I mean, he's just a wonderful person. I can't say good enough things about him.
I guess it's fair to say that you get you associate with each of the artists when you make the sleeve.
Usually they become friends. Yeah.
What about Chris and Cozy? Did you get to know them through that, or were they active?
Yeah. I'd heard from Cozy yesterday, so there you go.
Small world. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love them. I think, you know, the utmost of Chris and Cozy's work throughout times. It's never veered off.
I love their newer stuff that they're doing too. Well, I can't remember what it's called. There's a new band that's really dark, kind of droney, that I really like.
I'm sure somebody can put that in the comments.
I can't see any comments.
Severed Heads, come visit the Big Bigot.
Yep.
I love that logo. Yeah, with the bomb and the cross and everything. It's becoming even way more relevant in today's society.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You know,
I don't think he was very happy with the stuff I was doing for Severed Heads. So
I don't know if Tom's ever happy with anything, though. Say that in a loving way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. I didn't like the album, and no offense to them, but I loved working on this. And there's one of Kevin Westenberg's photos on the back. He's such a talented guy, Kevin Westenberg. I think he's, in my opinion, and probably a lot of other people's opinions too, I think he's one of the best portrait photographers in the world. I
totally agree. He is so diverse and so many different people that he has photographed, and always amazing. And for me, it's like the shots in the inside of Vivisect 6 and the postcard are always like some of my favorite shots I think ever of Skinny Puppy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I told you yesterday that I'd found a whole bunch of offshoots and stuff from that photo shoot that I'm going to talk to Kevin about and see if he minds if I post them on social media. He's particular about those kind of things, and I don't want to offend him.
Yeah. And you hand painted these little squares and stuff like that, right?
I did. Yeah, that was part of I can't remember if I did the painting for the album or if I did the painting I'm pretty sure with this one, I did the painting for the album.
I was pretty amazed. I think I saw it in the mock-up, and that there it was so well meticulously done. Like, so all along, I think like what's really cool is that like
Let's stop on this one for a second because got to tell you a kind of funny story about this, the hot with fleas. I don't even remember, but Tom stayed with me for a while in Vancouver.
did he,
While he was writing this, or at least before he wrote this song, anyways. And one summer, Vancouver had an unusually hot summer, and so anybody that had carpets, they were infested with fleas.
oh
So
no.
not only was he like, and he had to stay down in the basement too, by the way, beside my studio. And, well, I didn't have to, but that's the only room we had.
Wow, I did not know that.
So he wrote this song, "Hot with Fleas," and that it was baking, and we were all being bit by fleas.
Wow, I mean, you see, these are stories you can only hear firsthand from the people that were there. That's so classic. I mean, I've heard Tom go through he's put himself into lots of different environments. He also lived for a while in Rihanna's hometown of Hemet, California,
Oh,
which,
really?
yeah, yeah, you say, oh, really? Yeah, no, that's also a challenge for when you think about Tom Miller. But
Yeah.
big up Tom, Hot with Fleas. What a great story. We'll never forget that one. I was going to say, I think that when I ever saw a mock-up or something that you did, it was all the mock-ups even look like a fine art piece.
Yeah.
Were you able to retain all those mock-ups, or did they?
I threw out a lot of stuff before I moved from Vancouver when I moved down here. I just wanted to lighten the load, and plus, I was pissed off at Network at the time too, so there was a bit of a vengeance there of throwing out all the original artwork.
Oh man.
Like, so they could never come back to me and say, hey, like,
Yeah.
you get that artwork from me. Well, screw you. It's all in the garbage now. I really like working on that Mo project too. That's from the Yeah Whatever album. This is a single taken from the album.
And again, you is that another small window painting you did?
No, that's from Orson Welles's Macbeth. Is a screen grab. Well, not a screen grab, but I took a photograph of the television.
So yeah, that's pretty classic that you would also utilize photographs that like, for instance, the hair on the background of this, or for instance, these backgrounds, would these be things that you would take photos yourself and manipulate?
No, I think that was from a hair ad, that hair in the background. And the image in the front, the 20th century woman is what I call her. That was from like a really old Vogue magazine from the 40s. So basically I sampled images, just like musicians sampled, things as well.
I mean, it's safe to say that like back in the day, sampling was not looked upon in the same manner. So
no, let's go back to the mauve one. That's a frying pan in the background.
oh, look at
That I took a photograph on the front porch of the place that you were showing earlier, and I still have the frying pan.
that's great. See, people would never know these things unless they get the story. And we're going to get to the skinny puppy stuff in a sec. We're just running through just a few of Steven's covers that he has done for Network, and this is how long it takes to actually just preview some of the great stuff. Now, are those clips as well from?
Yeah. That's I know what that one's from. That's from the second one down on the front. That's from Touch of Evil, and the bottom one is from the same thing that I used for the back of the Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate. It was Outer Limits, and I have no idea where the clock came from.
Wow. Okay. we need to get into the discussion that a lot of people are waiting for, and that is like, we're in the Skinny Puppy world. We've made the Remission EP that you suggested before we've actually made the album, and now we're actually getting into.
I think, Kevin, I think you dropped off a tape for me to listen to, though, of the music that you were making at the time. Like, I don't think I was completely blind.
Okay.
I wish I still had that cassette tape.
The cassette tape that I gave you. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about being a hoarder, is if you hang on to all your tapes, you'll go through it and you'll find it. Now, the weirdest thing is that when I moved down here, I asked myself, wait, are you telling me that you piled all this crap into the truck somewhere? And I thought, like, it kind of seems like, again, a magical thing. I don't even remember piling all the crap. Like, as you said, you got rid of it, lighten up the load. But no, I have so much stuff.
I mean, I saved, a lot of images and things like that. Anything that was kind of smaller, which is how I can rebuild like the sleeves now. Because like I have all these images, let's say from Bytes, those are archived, like the original photographs, I mean.
So I remember that when I very first saw this album, that I thought, like, I just love that color of blue. And like, blue's always been my favorite color. And then it was tied right in. And then it was like, kind of like some more skulls. I remember at that time we used to have a thing about skulls. And so
my thinking at the time, Kevin, was that, like, my heavy metal roots is, I'm going to do something that is heavy metal, but doesn't look heavy metal, if you know what I mean.
You're touching on your heavy metal roots. You earlier we were talking about your disco roots. What metal band, if you had to drop one name, are immortalized in your metal roots?
Alice Cooper.
Oh, that's classic. Yeah, I don't really consider Alice Cooper like true metal, because I as well was a total Alice Cooper fan. So I guess
particularly the album Killer.
Yeah, I love that album. What an absolute classic.
And I don't mind $1 Billion Babies either.
Yeah, no, same. I think his band, I wish he never got rid of his original band, because I think that whole band was really good. And it kind of suffered after, I mean, the first record with Bob Ezra and the $1 Billion Babies, I was really successful. But after that, it kind of started tapering down rather quickly.
Yeah.
But it's amazing he's still going, and it's still looking good too. What was the story on the second version of Bytes for the European audience?
Well, by that time we'd already established the elongated font that's on the top, and I thought I would incorporate that into the one for Europe. But also, I don't know why I changed it. I just boredom, maybe.
Just because you could. That's why. Yeah. It was kind of interesting that if you're given a chance to do something differently, and then we took advantage of that.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, there's going to be a European pressing.
Yes,
it was always a bit different. The things were a bit different.
Well, plus even knowing that your stuff is going to be in Europe is so cool, or I thought was really cool, or that it's going all around the world now.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, to be quite honest, everything happened quite quickly. I realized when I look back on the schedule that we made things on a yearly cycle. It wasn't too long before we're already working on the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was pretty exciting, I must say. I remember rather quickly that Mind the Perpetual Intercourse. This is really weird. Is that I met Dwayne in July of 1986, and this album, and Dwayne's on, I think, only 3 songs or whatever, but nevertheless, the album came out on September the 24th, almost just 2 months later, and we were already on tour.
Yeah.
So things happened quicker back then. It's really funny. When I announced this chat, I said, I did a chat about Mind the Perpetual Intercourse, and it said, warning, there's a problem with your title. You can't say that. Have you noticed that there's some sort of like Facebook thing on?
Oh, yeah. You probably can't use the word intercourse, or if you do, it has to, there'll be a warning on your post. Yeah. I mean, they've never censored the image though, which is, a bare-breasted woman, which is what Facebook cannot stand.
Yeah, and it was pushing a few buttons back in the day too when it was released.
Oh yeah, definitely
Taking a chance. This picture, you had said you took this off a TV in New York or something.
That's right. I used to go to New York a lot back in the day, and party all night kind of thing. But I got back early. I feel like I'm repeating myself because I just told this story on Facebook, but yeah, I came back one night early. A pimp and his wares accosted me in the elevator going up into my room and asked me, if I needed some company. I said no, thank you. Got into the room, which was a total dive, I might add. Not on Times Square, but just off of Times Square, and back then it was, a very sleazy kind of place to go in New York. And this was on TV, this girl rolling around like on this dirty carpet, just rolling back and forth, moaning occasionally, and that's it. And I thought, I got to grab my camera and take a picture of this because I can't believe what I'm seeing.
I remember the New York back in the day. Their TV was very risque. You wouldn't say.
Well, it was public TV, yeah.
Yeah. What's the background? It looks to me like bottom of the ocean.
It's the ceiling of my studio downstairs.
Classic.
Popcorn ceiling.
Oh man, we're learning all the secrets today.
I don't know. It turned out really cool. It was printed negative, and the reason why you got the blues is because, it was a yellow incandescent light, and if you print that in negative, it turns blue.
You were able to use the images of Gustave Doré to do the Dig It.
Yeah.
And
there was some flowers or chainsaw, whichever. Yeah. Well, I didn't get to use them. I took them. They're copyright free. So a friend of mine, again up at the university, they had the original publications, and she let me, even though you weren't allowed to take them out, she let me take them out, and I got PMTs done of them, and then brought the books back.
I think it was, classic usage of at the time, something that wasn't, looked down upon in any way. Just looked right. Yeah,
no, and plus keep in mind too, network weren't paying me very well, so it's not like, and I was doing a lot of work too, so I was just trying to. It wasn't churning stuff out because I do care about my work, but that I was busy all the time. And I love this image and that they're Doré image as well on the front cover.
This usage of it is my favorite usage that I've seen. How you colorized it blue, and I've seen it utilized again here and there, but I thought that this was one of my favorite usages of it. Is there a time here where the days of letraset and hand are crossover with computers yet, or are we still talking all hand?
No, this isn't. All the smaller type, the skinny puppy type was from a book, like a type specimen book, and then I had PMTs, which is short for photomechanical transfers, done of the letters, and then I cut them out and mocked them up. Same with the chainsaw as well. And then the other stuff, do you remember Greg Sykes?
Yes.
Anyway, he worked at a printing place, and he did I would go in and he would do the typesetting for me, like for the lyrics, I'd say, and the smaller credits and things like that.
So what did Greg have? Did he have some sort of pre-computer? What made it easier for him to make typeset?
No, it was all done photographically, actually. It was like you had a piece of long film with the with like the individual letters on it, and this mechanical machine would, you know, move this piece of film up and down or wherever it needed to go to place the letter in a certain spot, and then it would burn it onto photographic film.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It was, I can't imagine how complicated that machine was.
It's no wonder, you know, that why it was more difficult to achieve such things. But again, there was two different sleeves, color, one for Play It Again, Sam, one for America.
Yeah, Play It Again, Sam. They screwed it up though. They screwed up the.
You can see they
screwed up the color separations on that.
It's not uniform.
Well, no, it's not even supposed to be. You know, the only thing that was supposed to be different about the European one was that, you know, the Doré images were with blue. But the stuff that they did in the middle and, you know, with the Skinny Puppy on the front and the Dig It on the front, I have no idea how they came to that conclusion.
Oh yeah, they just went a bit outside the edges, that's for sure.
Well, no, it's supposed to be black backgrounds, and they've got the image showing through.
Chainsaw, I remember that when we made this with Tom from Severed Heads, we came back from the world tour in '86. And it was like a 4-month-long tour. And I remember we got back, and I remember that we were all different. We're just like we'd been through something that completely changed our lives in a lot of ways. And so at this point, we kind of realized as well that each year we were making an album, and it wasn't that it became more difficult, but this would be the first album, the next album that I'd make with Dwayne from the beginning. And in some ways, I just fucking love this cover. This is like, it's not that I don't love the other ones, but there's something about like just the overall vibe of how you use. Now, what's in the background? Is that
which background?
In Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate. It looks like this like steel wool.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's steel wool, you know, taken up close for the cleanse part of the title.
And we've got the guy back, only he's not smiling this time.
No, that's a executed French prisoner.
Wow. And what's the thing on the back? The
that is from an episode of Outer Limits, and this alien is, you know, doing this thing to he's making the guy not being able to talk.
That's awesome. I've had so many people come to me and say, I love that picture of you on the front cover of Cleanse.
I know.
I'm like, no. That's a kid from Village of the Damned, right? That's
right. Yeah.
The old British film, Village of the Damned. Check it out if you have not seen that film.
One other thing too is I also helped come up with the title for this album as well.
The what?
I helped come up with the title for the album.
Yeah, I think if the first title was Fold, it was based on the Do Not Fold, Spindle, and Mutilate idea. And then it became
Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate.
Yeah, a few different versions. But in the end, it rolls off the tongue nice. And Steven, I have to say that this Skinny Puppy logo, I guess this is the first appearance of what I call the classic Skinny Puppy logo. For me, it's my favorite logo of that you did for Skinny Puppy. I absolutely love it. And especially on this Addiction 12-inch.
Yeah, I like the other Addiction 12-inch artwork wise.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's a purple one as well.
Yeah, the purple one I really like.
What is this one then? Why is this one green?
I can't remember.
Look at, here's the purple one.
My favorite, yeah.
Now, maybe it is that this was for the vinyl and then the purple one is for the CD. It's possible.
No. This is before they put singles on CDs.
Right.
I think that's the green one was the American one and the purple one was the Canadian one is what I think.
Okay, yeah, that could, okay, let's see here. Yeah, this is capital US. You're
Okay.
absolutely correct. That would have been the Network Canada one. But again, that I love these line images. I think
Yeah.
that's like one of my favorite things about this era, and also with that logo. Now, is that a hand-drawn Skinny Puppy logo?
Yeah, that's pen and ink, that one.
Dude, honestly, I have seen more tattoos of that than I can honestly ever tell you. It's
Yeah, same here. I've seen that logo used so many times in so many different ways.
and the thing about the logos is that you see them, and it's like nobody would ever know. Hey, guess what? That's my design, and you got a tattoo of it.
Yeah, with all the bands that I've done stuff for, I can't imagine how many bodies have my artwork on them.
There's got to be just tons and tons and tons. Steven has done so much work, everybody, as you well know, that if it'll be a miracle, as I say, if we can even touch base on, like, well, we'll just go to Steven tells us he can't take it anymore.
I don't have to go pee anyways.
You got to go pee. Well, we've had people go pee before. I can cover base.
This is one of my favorite, if not the favorite album cover for me from that period.
I mean, I do agree. As a whole piece and as an entire concept, this is something I think that I'm the most proud of this album out of all the albums that we did and made, and as a collective ingredient with you.
Amazing. Yeah.
Everything. With Kevin Westenberg's photograph on the inside, and the whole sort of in Stanley Park, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
And so what is the X-ray of on the outside?
That was there's one part of it that's mine, which I won't divulge which part it is, and the rest were a bunch of scrap X-rays that a friend of mine's doctor, or a friend of mine, got them from her dad, who was a doctor, and said, I think you might be able to use these for your artwork or something. And then I made this collage of the X-rays together on a kind of makeshift light table that I took a piece of white paper, took the glass off the top of my coffee table, put that over the white paper, and then put a lamp underneath. Like that's how primitive it was. And then kind of, arrange the X-rays to something that I thought looked really cool.
I've had a lot of people tell me that this is their favorite as well. And I remember there's something about the way that the logo looked with this gold leaf sort of effect. How was that?
That's that frying pan again.
Is it really? The same one?
Yeah.
God, that frying pan got to be immortalized.
It's seen. I can't throw it out. It doesn't even have a handle anymore, so it's totally useless.
That's so funny.
I can't throw the damn thing out.
I have also a pan from my mom that is a broken handle, and it still gets used around here. And when I start thinking about it, I start thinking that maybe my mom also got it from her family, and so it must be like 1,000 years old.
Yeah, I just don't have the heart to throw it out.
Well, why should you?
Well,
it's just one of those things. You kind of got to hang on to some of these old things, and the good thing is that you don't find out about how good that is until later.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hang on to something that'll be like, oh, why did I hang on to that?
Oh man, this is another one of my favorite sleeves.
Yeah, beautiful, Steven. By this point, could you feel that, like, by this point, okay, man, I'm like started to do enough here. I'm really like, when you see these, do any like sort of strike you as like, oh, well, that one was really hard, or that one was harder than another one, or were they getting easier?
No, I wouldn't say easier, but I do say about this one, I just felt like, well, this one and Vivisect 6, I just felt like I was getting in my stride, I guess you could
Absolutely.
say. And then I thought that I finally felt good about putting out what I felt was quality work.
And so, it's so beautiful, man. Even this one's unopened. I don't want to open it, but I have a few that are open, but it's just so glossy and beautiful. And, when's the last time that did you get one of these?
I still have some of those, the long boxes. Yeah.
Oh, this is a 3-inch though.
Yeah, I know, 3-inch with the long box. I've got a few of those up in Vancouver.
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to the concept of 3-inch.
I do.
What is it?
It didn't fly. I mean, they were a pain in the ass,
Yeah,
and unless you had a CD player that could actually play them, you had to put like a, much like a 45
yep.
sling,
Adapter.
you had to put an adapter on it. Yeah.
It's like for collectors only now.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've got about 4 of those sealed.
Oh, wow. I only have one. So I haven't hoarded out as bad as I could have.
No, I guess not.
Tin Omen.
What a great song.
It was basically the time of the Tiananmen Square. It was a play on the Tiananmen Square events that were going on.
As are the images, yeah.
As are the images. And a period where politics and the world at rise, as far as everything, started to get a little bit more, just a little bit more ripe. And we started to play with this being like the start of, like, I guess what will come in the next phase, when we're looking at rabies, which is really a great collage. I mean, I just love how you started, well, not start, but you were basically collaging a lot of, like, almost like stimulus, reverse stimulus.
Yeah, there's like a lot of this stuff was from TV. Like, I basically had my camera set up in front of my TV 24/7, and it was just taking news footage and History Channel, or, well, not that they had a History Channel back then, but just snapping whatever I felt was appropriate at that particular moment.
What are is that the ceiling again on the back?
Is that what?
Is that the ceiling again on the back?
No, that's a pancake.
That's a pancake.
Yeah, a burnt pancake.
You see, folks, pancakes are more than what they seem. On the front, it's kind of like playing with that old sort of Warner Brothers-y type. That's all, folks.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Charles Manson picture, which I've also shared this before, but I sent the rabies artwork down to Capitol Records down here in Los Angeles when we were still living up in Vancouver, and they were afraid that Charles Manson would sue them. So without even asking me or anything, he did telephone me, maybe, because there was no email or anything at the time, or no, he probably faxed me actually and said, we have to do something about it. So I put a piece of tape over his eyes, and I actually thought it improved the design. I thought it looked better with the tape over his eyes, because it wasn't supposed to be a glorification of Charles Manson, like somebody like Al Jorgensen from Ministry or other bands, or Genesis P-Orridge, and that they were kind of, in my opinion, glorifying him. And I didn't think that he was the type of human being that needed to be glorified.
Yeah, and I think that, like, there's like a lot of, like, stuff on here that was like kind of like throwing in your face to become more aware, and to start to make your decisions that some things that people throw in your face aren't actually that cool.
Yeah.
I think, at that time as well, we're starting to play with the Warlock things, where playing with people's sort of, like, I don't know, I won't want to say weaknesses, but like their sensitive natures.
Yeah.
Kind of like testing everybody's patience, their ability. What's that on the thing? It's looked like
That is from, which we got permission to use, by the way. That's from David Lynch's Dune.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So this
It's when
is
the
this
baby is being born.
is this one of the first ones where you would have had to go and get some form of permission, or where
No,
did
I
that
think
happen?
Gary Smith phoned him up, remember, and said, we're going to be using this image in our video. Do you mind? And David Lynch, I don't even know how he got through to David Lynch. And David Lynch said, "Oh yeah, go ahead."
That's incredible.
I think that was for that single as well, like the video for that single.
The 12-inch. Wow, interesting story. Man, we've covered a lot here.
And I was a huge David Lynch fan. Well, still am for that matter. And I was so jealous that Gary got to talk to him in person.
He's like what I consider to be like, the mega director guy. If I ever saw him in Hollywood, I think I'd be like, well, now there's a celebrity I would love to, like, I would be stunned. I'd be stunned. I'd be sitting there. Not many celebrities like wouldn't care, but if I saw David Lynch, I'd probably stop in my footsteps.
I did. I saw him once, and yeah, he frequents a restaurant that Marriott and I would go to all the time, and I saw him there one time, and I was just like, "Oh my God, I want to go up and say something to him so bad."
Yeah,
but I didn't.
I don't know if I was given the opportunity, like, to say a couple of words, what I'd say. Do you have an idea about what maybe you would say?
You're my God. I have no idea what I would say.
Well, he lived.
We worked together, maybe.
Again, what's weird is he lives only a couple miles away from here, so we could walk over to his house one day. Well, it's a long one. Long one. I know we haven't talked about anything outside of Skinny Puppy, but man, I love the concept of the Tear Garden Tired Eyes Slowly Burning.
Yeah.
These were based on 2 paintings that you did that I was fortunate enough to see. And I remember that you had them. Oh, I was so stupid not to buy them. You had them for sale for a little while, and I didn't buy them. And then do you still have them?
I do. They're in the kitchen.
Oh, thank God. So that they didn't get sold. No.
Well, now they've gone up. I think I was going to sell them to you for like $800 for the 2 or something really cheap.
It was something so affordable at the time when I had no money, and so it was like, yeah, I wanted it so bad, and
I'm happy I hung on to them, to be quite honest with you, because I really enjoy them.
I'm glad that they're at your house. Out of all places for them to be, I'm glad they're at the maker's house. What was the thought on the rose burning and the brain burning?
Well, I think that the title of it, I got to paraphrase myself, but it's well, hell, he's brain dead, and a black rose representing death and brain, basically. And the hot rod flames are kind of a tongue-in-cheek homage to my youth, when I was into car culture and all that kind of stuff, as a adolescent kid.
Were you ever into Ed Roth or?
Yeah, big time when I was 13, 14.
Excellent. Do you find any inspiration from the past that you've carried into your work from anybody?
Like now, or not really? No. Not that I can think of.
What's that background there? It looks like it could be the bottom of my shoe.
Those were some amoebas that I took photocopies of at the Vancouver Public Library from a book, and then had them blown up, and the contrast changed on them, and then reversed. Again,
a very vibrant color.
Yeah,
I love it. You also did the Tear Garden Center Bullet, and again, a painting. I guess I should have probably done this one first, but it doesn't matter. There's blue flames in this one.
Yeah, and that one, unfortunately, I threw that painting out, which I've totally regretted since. I don't know why, because it wasn't that big. I could have, it was my network purge, or part of the network purge, I mean. But then I did find, when I did the print recently of this, at least I still had a 4x5 transparency of it. So
Yeah.
I'd something that.
I mean, all the prints that you've been doing lately and so on, super cool for people. I guess it's even more high res than what they could get on an album cover, right?
Oh yeah. Way more high res. Oh, there they are. There they are in the kitchen.
I had to include some photos of the original paintings, which are beautiful.
Did you take those when you were over at my house or something? Because
I snuck into your house.
Yeah, there's the print. Yeah,
part of the prints, and so I will show this in a second. Is this part of the Etsy Designs thing that people can follow the link that I put in to purchase these? They sell out fast, though, don't they?
Well, that one's sold out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's still some available, like of the process and mine, the perpetual intercourse, I believe, and personal work as well.
So our buddy Jim Cummins did a couple of the covers, Too Dark Park and Last Rites. I mean, it's safe to say that like we're all friends, and it's not unusual to see like you and everybody and us all hanging out together back in the day. I remember we visited Jim here at his place.
That's right. Yeah, that was when we were playing up in Vancouver.
Yeah,
you and I mean.
We went up to Vancouver recently, 15 years ago.
Well, it's not quite 15, is it? It was 2009. So 13 years ago.
2009, based around the love affair again. Steven and I traveled up to the lovely town of Vancouver, and who put that on? Bernard?
Bernard did, yeah.
Bernard, Love and Grace, yes, Bernard. Big up to Bernard and the Love Affair group, which sponsored it. They took some nice pictures of us, and
that was across the street from my house here. This photo, remember, because the guy, it was Brian Topsky, I think, is and he had a tent set up over in his front yard for some reason. And we took the photos there.
By the way, this is what Love Affair looks like today.
No.
It's gone.
Oh, boy.
So Steven and I went up there. We DJ'd at Celebrities nightclub, and everybody came out. By the way, I love this thing you did for Rick Ford.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Rick.
Yep. And I believe that he was at this event.
He was at that event, yeah.
Yeah, and we got to reunite with the whole crew.
Oh yeah,
it was a fun time. Steven and I together I did a set, and then Steven finished it off. Great set. We kind of like decided what our top 50 songs of all time were for Love Affair.
Yeah,
and then split them up.
We did, yeah.
It's pretty awesome, fun times. And as I just said, I thought it was just the other day, but no, it's 15 years ago.
13, Kevin. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I just don't like it when times just seem to like jump ahead like that fast.
No, it's not good. Oh, that's when we were at the hotel.
This is what it looks like in Vancouver about 15 years ago, and there's Steven on the balcony over there, if you can see him.
Yeah.
Steven, I actually took a note of your set. And, one thing I have to say is that you're very good at organizing, and especially every year, for those of us lucky enough that know Steven, we get sent a Christmas carols every year, and we get sent like all this music all the time. Well, not all the time, but enough times to have a folder full. But Steven, I have your set. And for those of you that want to look through what Steven's set was at Love Affair that night, here is what Steven's top 31 picks were. And I don't have mine because Steven was together enough to print this out.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of got yours somewhere, actually.
Yeah, it's possible.
That's on an old computer now.
So last but not least,
We kind of, before we did it, we made sure that we weren't, number one, repeating each other's songs. And then
right.
also, and you, like, you got the kind of more experimental stuff, and as far as I was concerned anyways, and I did the more poppy kind of stuff, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, true. I guess there's some songs like, what's the first song when you think about Love Affair? Is there one song that comes to mind?
David Bowie's Heroes.
See, for me, it's Fad Gadget, Ricky's Hand. So it's like,
Oh,
yeah, there's the difference right there.
yeah.
I think that's great, though. So we had like,
Well, for me though too, like David Bowie Heroes gave me time to run to the bathroom and back again.
that's a great thing for a DJ to have that amount of time to be able to leave the booth.
Yeah, I think it was about 7 minutes. That was a 12-inch mix. I mean, it was like 7 minutes long, and man, people would have to get out of my way.
Then becomes like the kind of like the bookend, the Skinny Puppy Process album.
Yeah.
A classic cover. There's a story behind this where did you make a miniature and photograph it?
Yeah, Anthony made the miniature, and I did the scaffolding and the type up on top. Originally, I did the scaffolding, and I was gonna superimpose it like in Photoshop on, like, Anthony and I went around for 3 days actually, all around Los Angeles, taking pictures of hotels or buildings and things like that, and none of them really were gelling for me. And then I don't know, Anthony just took it upon himself because he's a talented individual, and built this set and said, come on over and see what you think. And I said, yeah, that's perfect. So let's go with it.
And pretty classic. It's one of these things where I can't say I can ever pick a favorite album cover. I say I really think, maybe cleansable and manipulate, but at the same time, man, I don't know. I love them all. They've all got like,
The Process one has kind of got a sad story though too, because my wife was killed the year before, and then Dwayne died as well, and it's got a kind of melancholy, kind of somber look to it overall. I mean, the whole, like, inside and out, it's all yeah, not depressing, but it's not fun either.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. You also did a colorized version of it, which was I had
Well,
here.
originally, yeah, Anthony had shot like I think it was on 2x2 film, some color ones, and I said, no, we can't use those at all. Like it just didn't have the right vibe. And plus, Anthony was brilliant I think Anthony too. He'd just gotten now I remember. He'd just gotten a color enlarger, like, for his studio. And I think he just wanted to really try to experiment with color, but I really like his kind of sepia tone, black and white kind of imagery, and that's what I wanted for it.
I really like it. I mean, I think the color one also looks really good, but you're right. The sepia tone one is just definitely more effective as far as like the particular mood of the times of what was happening.
Yeah, and plus the color one is kind of blurred as well, and I don't know if it was his in the dark room, whether it got blurry because his enlarger wasn't good, or if it was the camera wasn't all that great either. Whereas his black and white camera was he'd been using that for years, so I guess he just a lot of more experience with it.
Yeah, I think if I have to pick one, I got to go with the sepia.
Yeah, for sure.
Says that right. Overall gorgeousness.
Yeah, and the print turned out really well at that too.
And that was that. Did you say you have some of those left on your Etsy?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So your Etsy is, I think I posted the link on the thing. You go here, Etsy, SRG editions, and you got the Process, you got Mind. vivisect a bunch.
That's true.
Everybody here, and these are signed by you, right?
They're printed by me, signed by me. They come with the miniature ones don't come with a certificate of authenticity, but the anything above 8.5 by 11, yeah, comes with a certificate that's also signed and hand stamped. And
Rush to the shop right there, Etsy.com. The link is also in the description. Man, Steven, we're at an hour and 30 minutes, and we haven't even got to the people's questions yet.
Oh, I didn't even know there was any.
No, there's questions, and we haven't even talked about like stuff like that.
I don't think I had anything to do with that, though.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Well, that's your logo.
That's my logo there. Yeah.
I never know these things if things are relevant or not.
Yeah. Another one of my favorite sleeves from that time period.
How about hilt? Call the ambulance before I hurt myself. Now, this was something, it was kind of funny because I expected you, like I knew that this was going to be an opportunity for you to go off a bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first thing you gave me, I gave to you the other day again, the smut hilt, it's called.
Yeah.
Let me find it. I got it here. I've got it here somewhere. What was the thought on the Hilt album, the Call the Ambulance graphics? There was a funny story with this.
Well, which part of it is funny? I don't know.
There's chickens. I think it's like
those are roasted chickens. Yeah.
Chickens. And this guy was kind of funny.
Again, this is from the person that I know up at UBC. She had this catalog of all these models that you can get, which I've actually ended up purchasing over the years, medical models. And then the multicolored collage on the side, that was like all girls with, like, you know, from the back of girly magazines and guns. And then the background, the swirly kind of cinnamon colored background, I guess you could call it, that was like from my son. He was only 2 years old or 3 years old at the time, and I used that for the background.
It's a picture of your son?
No, not to have him. He like swirled some paint around on paper, and I used that as the background.
Perfect. I remember that this was the first version you gave me.
That was the first one, yeah. And I didn't want to give up that collage. I just loved it so much, you know, that
yeah.
So I utilized it, you know, after you guys changed the title of it, because originally this was the title of the album.
Yeah, smut.
Yeah.
Maybe a better title than Call the Ambulance Before I Hurt Myself.
And then you guys changed it to Call the Ambulance Before I Hurt Myself.
And again, I found this within my relics here and made sure that you had it back because it's part of the originals.
Well, no, you can have it back, Kevin. I've already. I mean, if you want it back, I mean, I'd love to keep it, but
I'll take it if you're asking. But again, there's nothing feels better than something being either at your place or my place, or, you know.
Yeah, it's like I still have all the original lyrics, handwritten lyrics from Vivisect 6 and, you know, things like that.
It's also important to say that you have appeared in the Dig It video.
Yeah.
You were the guy in the Dig It video. If anybody was wondering who that guy was, Steven has made appearances visually before, somewhat hiding though.
Yeah.
Spacing out a bit, to Killing Joke. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead too much in history here. I've got a folder that's got a bunch of just other great stuff in it.
Yeah, that's probably jumping too far ahead with the Killing Joke stuff. And there's the original photograph by Kevin Westenberg.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to jump to, that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most iconic pictures of Skinny Puppy, in my opinion, anyways.
Me too.
It's and like I said, I found a bunch of other stuff that from that, including a solo one of you and a solo one of Ogre. And I'm wondering why there wasn't one of Dwayne, but the two solo pictures of you guys are really great as well.
Wow, I can't wait to see those. I think there's something great about seeing old pictures of Dwayne.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ones with Dwayne are still like the other photo that you just showed, like kind of blurry. And whereas I guess Kevin concentrated, or at least what he sent me anyways, he'd send me a picture of you and a picture of Ogre by yourselves.
So how did it feel after several years of not doing anything, and then all of a sudden Skinny Puppy's active again, and they're saying they're talking about making covers?
Well, at this point, Ogre and I were hanging out quite often, and we went to see this guy's work out in Santa Monica, and I said, I wonder if he would let us, that's Fredo, by the way, if he would let us use his work for an album cover. And I got in touch with him. I have no idea how I got in touch with him, but I did. And he said, yeah. I mean, we had to pay him, but so it was kind of a thrill to be able to use this rather grotesque work.
It's pretty awesome. And then it's great to say that SPV was kind of allowing for really great packaging and giving opportunities for like, what do you call that? Like a gatefold with belly band and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, those vinyl releases were really luxurious.
They were, and I was really kind of liking that.
There it is with the belly band,
stuff. Some great packaging, and it's safe to say that like all this stuff that you were putting together had all of this articulate goodies.
That's a great photo of you guys. That was Austin Young. And if you can go back one. Yeah, I mean, being able to use, this is a hero of mine, and being able to use his artwork was amazing to me. Again, I contacted him out of the blue, and he let us, and for some reason I'm having a brain fart right now and I can't remember his name, but Manuel Ocampo. He let us use his work, which I couldn't believe it.
That's I guess that's always a compliment too, when somebody's allowing you to do something that it's I don't know, they could easily say no.
yeah and the money we were offering him was not not we, I mean, you had nothing to do with that negotiation, but the money that the label was offering, I probably wouldn't have accepted it.
Does it ever get uncomfortable like that when a label doesn't like help you like work out those type of little things like that? Or is it like they just leave it with you on your own to make sure that's a clearance that you have to sort out?
No, I think in that scenario, a lot of it had to do with how busy I was at the time too. Like I was extremely busy and I needed to lighten my load in a sense, my workload, because when I'm doing something from scratch, it takes a lot longer than being able to use like these brilliant artists' work. It kind of takes, well, I don't know if it takes the work away, but at least it takes the mental part of my job away. Like it's already there, as opposed to trying to come up with totally new ideas. But that's not really asking or answering your question. I mean, no, I think the labels just, some labels, like if it's a major label, then it's no problems. Like they pay whatever the fee is, and it's the independent labels that are kind of harder to work with for that type of thing.
Hand over cover, love it.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that one as well.
Is that your hands, or is that an artist? What's the story on that?
That was, I just watched Let the Right One In, and from being that Ogre and I are both from Calgary, I wanted to give that kind of cold kind of Calgary vibe.
Right.
And I always wanted to do a kind of collage with hands. So, and Mariette, my girlfriend, has incredible hands. So I took a bunch of different photographs of her hands. And there's one of my hand in there just for good measure.
I love the image. I love this forest in the background. Again, touching into those elements that I've always liked about your sleeves.
Yeah, it kind of has a more cinematic kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Than most of them.
I don't even have words for how good the weapon idea is. And maybe you can talk about like how this came about.
Well, it took me 72 hours is how that came about. I mean, it was originally based on, the old like propaganda things where they would have an octopus or something, kind of covering the world or coming down onto the world with, landlords or something, or, whatever the people were that were in power at the time. And originally had a globe down there as well, but it felt kind of corny to me. So I took the globe out, but yeah, it was mainly the background that took so long because there's like hundreds of guns in the background and each one of those had to be hand cut out. Yeah, you can see it more here. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, I did repeat using the same guns. I think I had maybe a total of 20 guns or something like that. And, kind of flipped them and, turn them around and things like that. But yeah, it was very labor intensive, this sleeve.
How did you make the spider?
Just again, just set up parts like knives and bombs, and the two main parts of the body are a tank and with the bullets all kind of coming out, fanning out in the rear, and then those are mines that they used to use. The two round bits, the big round bits, are mines they used to use, in the Second World War, or maybe in the First World War as well. For ships, to destroy ships.
Yeah, I love like the grenades and the brass knuckles and the switchblades, all these things. If you look at the detail on this, it's just amazing. But also the symmetry of this album is incredible.
Yeah.
Like you really have an eye for when something's balanced.
Well, that is literally flipped, though. I mean, it's like from not the background, but the spider is, with the exception of the parts in the middle, it's mirrored.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I'm getting as much out of this chat today as maybe you other guys are, because like I don't know that I don't get a chance to ask these questions. When it's being made. Quite often you're just like look at the cover and marvel and be like, wow, how did Steven do that? So this has been fantastic. Again, the live bootleg Broken Insolvencies.
Now that's the inspiration for that was Stanley Park.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Well, is that Stanley Park?
No, it's not. It's stock photography, but that was my inspiration. Was all of our both you, myself, and Ogre, like our collected memories of, in my opinion anyways, our collected memories of Stanley Park, and maybe some substance abuse while we're at it.
I think if you're from Vancouver and you've spent some time ever being in Stanley Park under those situations, it's something that you don't soon forget.
No.
It's like you've captured the element. I think that's what I really enjoy about this too, is because I loved those nights where you'd be in this exact environment and I don't know. I thought it was just this magical thing. That's always stayed with me.
Yeah, I mean that kind of harkens back to our 80s days, even though abstractly anyways.
When I think about Vancouver now, actually, I think that's one of the things that I miss most of all is Stanley Park.
Yeah.
It's the place I would probably return to first. But wow, Steven, like we haven't even, again, touched on, well, we have actually touched on quite a bit, but other than...
I remember I sent you those images late last night. the bedside toxicology, yeah, perfect circle.
Tons of stuff for a perfect circle.
I can't even count the amount of stuff I did for perfect circle. So many like singles and ads,
I see
and
your painting.
that's one of my paintings as
That's one
well.
of Steven's paintings here, which I'll show in a second. I don't think you gave me that one though.
No,
Great work, man. So what type of input does Maynard give you input for the perfect circle stuff?
yeah, Maynard and Billy both had a big say with the well, not a big say, but certainly a say. But you know, like I've always said, you know, you want me to do the sleeve, it's this much money. Do you want input in the sleeve? Then it's a lot more.
That's an awesome answer. So is this sort of like your interpretation of what you feel from their music, or did they say this is what it's about a bit, and then or is it totally just interpreted?
No, it was I guess it's interpreted, yeah, because Billy wanted you know, these kind of hieroglyphic things. So I did a whole alphabet of hieroglyphics, and or not hieroglyphics, I guess it'd be more like runes. But it was a hell of a lot of work, Kevin. Like the perfect circle stuff, I came up with 2 separate alphabets, like complete alphabets, so I could typeset with them.
Wow.
I made a font of them, did a painting. Also with the merit de noms, you know, they supplied a lot of stuff, which you saw, and there's like I kind of did a collage of the different things that they supplied. And yeah, it was just an incredible amount of work. Like I think I worked on it for about 2 months, solid.
That's quite a long time in comparison to some of the skinny puppy stuff, I can imagine.
Yeah, but you know, and it's going to sound crass, but I paid off all my IRS debts, and I paid off all my I paid off all my
It's nice to
credit card debts.
have a real budget.
Yeah, yeah.
Steven, I love your paintings. Let's just take a look at some of like your work in oil. It's what do you call it? Acrylics?
No, it's oils. Oil on canvas.
Oil on canvas.
All painted with a paintbrush. Not like there's no airbrush or anything like that.
And this is 3 feet by 3 feet, this painting?
It is, yeah. One of our good friends owns that painting. That's in my bedroom. That's 3 feet by 3 feet as well.
Is it hard when you paint something like this to let it go?
This one in particular, because there's a lot of personal history with it. But well, yeah, it's hard for me to get rid of any of my paintings or to let them go. Yeah, you know, I spent so much time on them that, and I paint them. You know, I paint them for myself. I don't paint them, you know, in thinking that I'm going to have a gallery show or anything like that, or whether they'll ever sell. Excuse me. So, you know, I paint them for myself to hang up in my house.
That's the only way to do it as far as I'm concerned. And then if people are going to come and take them and offer you a good amount of money for your work, then basically that's a bonus. I love that hand, hand in the face there. That's painted with that looks like a photograph.
Yeah, well, it's based on a photograph that I took of my girlfriend at the time.
Wow, so cool.
And yeah, that one sold as well. So did the last one too. Sold to a person in Germany.
How would people know if well, I guess if you're going to advertise one for sale, that basically, do you go onto the other site that I'm also advertising there on your page, SRG Design or SRG Etsy?
It's because I post about them on social media or something, and then somebody will be interested in them. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I do show every now and again as well, but I'm only usually part of a group show. Well, not usually. I am only part of a group show because I only do, like I said, like one painting every 5 or 7 years. These
And
are limited edition prints. Yeah,
these are the prints that are on the Etsy that we showed.
not this one. They're not on here yet. These
Not
are
all.
on.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's a personal piece. Yeah,
How is that created?
that's like collage work, much like Weapon. I did it around not too much longer after Weapon, actually.
Is that like cut and paste out of stuff that you like the old method?
Essentially, it's, you know, except for it's with Photoshop, but yeah, everything has to be cut out individually and, you know, collage together, for lack of a better word.
One of our friends basically has books and books and books of like collages that he's done from magazines ever since the 60s. And we had him on here on the live chat, and it was so interesting to go through. Do you still do the physical form of cut and collage, or you prefer are you a Photoshop boy?
I'm a Photoshop boy.
You must be a masterful at Photoshop by now.
I don't know about a master, but I certainly know my way around it anyways.
That's another great image for hand over there.
Yeah, that's the print image. And that was actually in a show in oh man, Budapest, I think. A world collage show.
Wow, that's really nice. And then the classic that we were talking about, the sepia process. They're available in the shop.
That was for Black Line.
Is that a found image that you've got? Was the reason for the line?
No, the reason for the line was Black Line. But yeah, it's a found image, yeah. Oh, there we go. There's a print version of Rabies with a pancake up on top.
Oh, the pancake.
Yeah, good old pancake.
Oh, wow, the hilt's on there too.
Yeah.
Wow, you can't pass that one up.
And well, I haven't. These aren't available yet.
Oh, these aren't available yet. We're getting a sneak preview of some of these.
Yeah. There's one
Are they coming soon?
What's that?
Are they coming soon?
That's one for Mauve. Whenever I get the time, I mean, the problem with the prints is that, well, not the problem, but I have to take a week off to do one. So if I've got a lot of commercial work at the time, then, you know, I can't take that week off. You know what I mean? So if I launch a print, I have to put like, it's 18 hours a day for about 6 days to get them all out the door.
Wow. Because, well, like you really, it's not just like you get like a thing in a bag. It's like you definitely put together. I noticed that your mailers are just like top of the line. Everything's top of the line. So expect, if you're going to order from Steven, that you get for what you pay for. It's like worth it, and go out and get it.
Yeah, I have really good packaging. The thickest mailing tubes I could find. They're almost a quarter of an inch thick. You could hit somebody over the head with one of those and knock them out, like, without a doubt.
How does it compare when you say when you're working and you're working for people in the cinema industry? Are they harder to work with than the people in the music industry, or because this is great?
Well, Lord of the Rings, that was a difficult project, but only because of the amount of stuff that I had to do and the amount of time I spent on it. And without exaggeration, I worked for 3 months straight, 16 to 18 hours a day. I was so exhausted by the time I finished the first one that I worked on, which was the Two Towers, because they had so many different variations of the same album and different limited edition ones. Some of them came with large booklets, some of them didn't. It was just an incredible amount of work. And I had to work with Peter Jackson, directly as well. And he's very particular.
So it sounds like it was more intense a little bit.
It was the first one that I worked on. I think it's the Two Towers. This one was probably the hardest job I've ever worked on in my life. And whenever this came out, I can't remember, early 2000s or something, maybe. I can't remember when this movie came out.
Howard Shore, a great scoring artist.
Isn't he Canadian too?
He is, yeah. He did a lot of Cronenberg stuff.
Yeah,
He did Videodrome. I mean, there's a classic right there.
there you go.
300. Look at that.
Yeah, that was easier to work on. A lot easier to work on. And the Lord of the Rings stuff is the hardest stuff that I've worked on. And I did a box set about 2 years ago that I went, oh yeah, this is why I don't want to do Lord of the Rings anymore.
The
Dark
Dark
Knight, that was great to work on. Just to be associated with it was, in my opinion anyways,
Yeah, absolutely.
it was just so cool.
Well,
And the great thing about working on this stuff too is you get to see these things way in advance to other people, and you get to see rough cuts and all the stills and everything else. It makes you feel really privileged.
so are you able to grab the stills that you want to make the image that you achieve here?
Yeah, I'm the one that chooses all the images and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
That's awesome. I really like how this is put together in that sense.
I did an awesome box set for this too that I've never gotten around to photographing, but I was really proud of it. It was like a slipcase with cutouts and stuff. It was really deluxe, and I really enjoyed working on this one too. Actually, Watchmen, again, like a whole bunch of different, box sets and things like that. But it was relatively easy compared to Lord of the Rings.
It's such good work, man. I mean, like, it's just so awesome to check out all of this stuff. I mean, God, where does it stop? Can you explain like what the 2 Steps from Hell is?
They originally were a music, not a sample library. That's the first thing I did for 2 Steps from Hell, but they compose music that is used in mainly for either commercials or trailer music. And then, this was in 2006, and then as that particular style of music has grown to have a really large, well, 2 Steps from Hell in particular have a really large fan base. And now there's it's got its own name, which is Epic Music, and and these guys are the stars of that. They're like huge.
So it's like music for license for people that are making films or trailers or something.
Exactly. I mean, I think you tried to do that or I don't know if you still are, but this is different though. This is sample libraries. This is for East West and Quantum Leap.
I get it. I mean, we did do Scaremeister set.
Scaremeister, that's it. Yeah.
And the first one did really well, and the second one was on another label, and it didn't do as well. But it's
what labels were you on? Do you remember?
God, what was their name? I can't remember the name. The first one was a really reputable
Sony or one of those, or
it's like I can't remember their name though.
Okay.
It's been too
anyway,
long.
so what they did, like 2 Steps, they started releasing public albums as well, like you would release an album.
Yeah.
And then they really took off. So it wasn't just for the industry anymore. That's the latest one for 2 Steps from Hell, which I'm quite proud of.
And so this is an album now, or it's still soundtrack license stuff?
No, this is an album.
An album.
Yeah, this one came out publicly.
Oh, cool.
There's only, and that's when they played the Walt Disney Concert Hall here in LA, and then they just got finished a huge tour in Europe as well.
Wow. I know that there's some questions about 2 Steps from Hell. God, we haven't even got towards questions yet, Steven.
Well, I'm gonna have to go get a glass of water, so I'll be right back.
All right. I love to stand in when the guest leaves.
Are you gonna do a little dance?
I'll do a little dance. Maybe Rihanna can come in and say hi. I'll backstep a bit and I'll be like,
Buy your t-shirts.
this is the Skinny Puppy first show at Love Affair in 1985. And the other day, I found, if you can believe it, Steven.
What's that?
I found footage from the Love Affair of our first Skinny Puppy show.
Oh, wow.
At the Love Affair, and it was on this like tape that was lost for a century. But I'm gonna have to cut through it. It's really grainy, but I don't know if it will show this on the video here. Probably not. It's got too much. You see how dark it is? Oh, there's Dale Plevin playing bass guitar. It's probably one of only 2 times.
I did a sleeve for Dale. I can't remember the name of the band at the time. And you played on it too.
God, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that's our first show at the Love Affair. That the poster I just showed. I showed this poster, Steven, that you got.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A re-release of this too.
Well, we still got to do a print of that, Kevin. I know that we talked about that a few years ago. That I just got to figure out how we're going to do it. Like, if it should be a GoFundMe or something like that, because I can't do it through Etsy because, I can't be driving over to your place to get you to sign everyone that sells. You know what I mean? The profit margin would just
drive over to your place.
Oh, that's more stuff for sample libraries.
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap is part of East West, yeah. And then this is 2 steps. Now, I think this one was, this one is a public album too.
So much stuff. Lumina, 2 Steps from Hell.
2010, yeah. This is a more recent thing for Quantum Leap and East West Sounds. East West Now and the Sunset Studios on Sunset, that big studio where like Led Zeppelin and Frank Sinatra and everybody else recorded.
I wonder if anybody else out there could realize how much work you've actually done. I mean, it's just crazy.
Oh, I know. I didn't even I sent you a bunch of images, but just going through it all, I was like, holy man. And I didn't even really touch on any of the stuff that I did in the 90s.
I even, I've added some, there's things that you did that you didn't add that I added. So I think it's endless.
Well, I saw you at this gig for Genesis George. You were there.
Yep. I think that's the last time that I ever saw Jen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. God, is it 2014?
Yes.
God, what's going on with time? You need to slow down a bit.
Oh yeah, the Halloween posters I do for the Edendale, which is right around the corner from my house.
Uh-oh, that's giving it away.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You can.
Well, no, anybody can look up where I live, anyways.
You can maybe find Steven at Halloween at the Edendale.
No, he wouldn't. I don't go in for Halloween costumes.
Some great.
Anyway, I enjoy doing these every year.
I thought that was a great place. We went over there once and had some food and stuff. Did you still eat there at least?
Yeah. But just Halloween is a nightmare. And that's for another thing that Genesis George, she was in, Bite of the Twin.
We were just talking about this the other day with Douglas. Bite of the Twin is something that he and Hazel Hill put together, and with everybody's help, the imagery, and awesome. Check it out. What's your takeaway from everything, Steven, after working on so many things? Like, do you still have a goal that is an unfinished goal that you need to go and complete before life is going to be completely, before you've wrapped?
Or before I'm 6 feet under?
Yeah.
A book on my work. Oh yeah, that's the logo that I used to use back in the 80s.
I like that logo.
The cog.
No, it's important. I think like
So yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest goal would be to have a book of my design work and start slowly edging away from doing commercial work and just concentrate on my own personal work, like paintings, particularly.
I'll always remember this gig.
Oh yeah,
That
you were the one, you know, with Myra that got these guys over to the Vancouver Expo. I can't believe, or the World Expo, really. I can't believe that Einstein and Neubauten and Test Department played.
No, I know that was just that was what made it all enjoyable, and it was so funny to see the smile on Myra Davies' face when we would sort of allude to what was going to happen. She was like kind of like she's kind of like excited at the fact that we could be potentially fired by it. And I thought like that was great. And they loved it though. The people loved it. I mean, as far as the bosses, the big bosses and stuff, they loved it. So that's why they said, let's do Test Department.
I don't know what they thought about. They thought about like the people that were going to Expo 86, what they thought about Einstein or Test Department though.
No, people ran out of that show fast. Like I said, 500 people ran out of that show at least when they first started banging on the steel. It was something to be proud of. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and there's if you go back to that's your first official gig.
Yeah.
I know that you guys did a couple before it, but this was like
no, this was the first official one. We did one at
like a gallery or something.
A gallery at the Univis Gallery, but that wasn't. I won't really call that an official gig because this one actually had a proper PA and a sound man and light man and the whole thing. And this is actually from, as I was saying, just the footage I was just showing. I'm going to edit that together and see what I can make out of that video that I found of it. But I couldn't believe that the videotape still played.
Oh, you have the actual tape?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like VHS or beta?
It's a VHS, and I transferred it. It transferred fairly successfully.
Yeah.
You did.
I think this Chris and Cozy poster was before I did any of their artwork. And you also played in a band called Hello Death Day, right? You were in that band.
Yeah, Ogre and I opened for Chris and Cozy. We showed the pictures of Chris and Cozy earlier backstage.
Yeah.
That was at Love Affair yet again. What a great night.
Yeah.
Visuals by John Lacey.
I'm assuming that must be like visuals that were projected, maybe?
Yeah. I remember that he was one of the old school guys. Grapes of Wrath, New York Theater.
You know, and with these old posters too, like the Cinnabar and stuff, and the other ones that you just recently showed, like I would do the painting in one night and then the type the next.
And these were like street posters.
Yeah. I should have given you a good copy of that one. I've got a good copy of that one.
I don't have a good copy of these. I don't think some of the classic old Skinny Puppy ones.
No, I don't have a good copy in the sense of a hard copy, but I've got a good copy. Yeah, that's another one. I don't have any copies of that one.
Neither do I. Choose Life.
Yeah.
That was the last gig with Bill Lieb, and pretty early on, March 30th, 86. And so again, street posters. Like you could rip it off a pole, go take it home. And I remember we get them printed up really nice too. It wasn't like they were cheap or anything.
Well, they were cheap to print, but they did a good job. The printer did a good job. The one that we used in Vancouver. I can't remember. It was some connection of mine. I think it might have been Neil actually from 5440 that hooked me up with that guy that did all those street posters particularly for Network and for no, it wasn't. It was the guys at Periscope.
Wow. So that was the Periscope Productions early connection for the street postering.
Yeah, they were the one. Yeah, because I can't even count how many I did for Periscope. I wish I still had some of them, like Stranglers and Walla Voodoo. These are the ones that I can remember. Modern English. I can't remember all the bands that I did. There was a lot of them though.
Wow. I didn't know you did Modern English and the Stranglers. That was when they originally appeared at the Commodore in the day.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I was
Classic.
really disappointed with the Stranglers one because not the poster, because I thought the poster was actually kind of cool, but I was, and I'd never seen the Stranglers, and I still hadn't to this day. And they were one of my favorite bands, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. And then, but it coincided with the same time when I was going on vacation to England when they were playing in Vancouver.
Oh, no.
I missed them.
Oh, I saw it.
Well,
It was good. I always like your public service announcements. That's something you didn't include either.
no, I didn't include those. No.
Yeah, I think, it's good to, always
I like these ones. Yeah.
tune in with some sort of messages. I know not age, nor weariness, nor defeat.
Yeah, that was for my birthday.
I want to run away.
From COVID, yeah.
Humanity is foreign to inhumane people.
Yep.
Look at that picture.
I know. It's
That
pretty
is-
nasty.
That's so good. Is there anyone home? How about, reminder of the all things moving and then all things hot.
Yeah, I like to post whenever it gets too hot. Well, you know what it's like around here. It's horrible. Like without AC, and your house is the same as mine.
Yes.
It's just like, oh my God, is this nightmare ever going to end?
Because our houses both retain heat. They don't let it go. It's like
Yeah.
they save it up. It's like, oh, you want me to save that heat for later tonight?
Yeah,
And then at night when it's cooled down, it somehow seems to be even hotter.
I know.
Like, I can't quite understand that.
And now, like, with the temperatures that they've been the last couple of days, I like yesterday morning, I had my hands over the burner on the stove to try to warm them up. So it's like the total opposite.
Yeah, and it just it gets like we're like freezing last night here already. How can this be happening? It's like it doesn't
When
retain.
was it? This house was built in 1922. When was yours built?
28.
Okay.
Same probable thing.
No insulation.
No insulation, everything like that. Let's take a question. Let's get to questions. Hi, Steven. I hope you're doing well, friend. You have done so much artwork for Network. It's mind-blowing. I know the label is rather notorious for not giving their musicians complete support, which bothers me to no end. Whenever I find one of your records or works at a record store, I'm consistently blown away by how well the artwork holds up compared to other releases from that time period. I was wondering how much artistic freedom you were given when working under the label on projects. Side note, thank you for my Prince of Process and Remission.
Well, thanks for your support, Joey. I had a lot of creative freedom with Network, which is why I kept working with them for so long, for so little money. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like beggars can't be choosers, and they were paying not very well, and they were, in my opinion anyways, getting some quality work. So, it was I got to sharpen my skills through them, which is something that I'll never, I'll always be thankful for. But yeah, really, there was no input. I mean, Skinny Puppy, there was a little bit of input with you guys, but pretty well, you guys just let me do what you give me kind of keywords, or I'd see the lyrics beforehand. Or Kevin, sometimes you'd bring over like a cassette tape and we'd listen to it on my stereo, but I don't think I'd ever visit you guys in the studio at Mushroom Studio or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember you had, as far as I knew, complete control, because I was always loved seeing your cover. I had no idea what it was going to look like. I always knew I would love it. I've never come to you and said, "Hey, I don't like the cover."
Well, I think, back then too, you couldn't do what you can now, which is, And network were too cheap to do proofs. So basically, uh, you know, I would do the artwork. It would get, we would get proofs done, and really at that point, it's up to network to show it to the bands. That's not my thing, and I guess they never showed them to you guys.
Yeah, I thought that was. I always saw it at the right time. I never saw it at where I thought it was too late or whatever like that. I was like,
Okay.
always loved it, and yeah, I never had a problem with anything that you've ever done as far as us.
Anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I had a lot of freedom with network.
Yeah, and I think it's important if you're going to work with an artist that you do that. I mean, what's the point of saying, "Oh, I want it to be like this and this"? That must be a real drag when somebody says that. I only want reds and blacks, and I only want like images that look like KMFDM, and
it makes it difficult for sure. I mean, but like, like I said, you want input into the album, into what I'm doing, then it costs like it, and usually that deters people. It's like, okay, what? It's going to cost me this much for me to tell you what I want. Yeah, that's how it works.
so much time appeasing the person's thought rather than just proceeding with what you think is right.
Well, I mean, I obviously keep the bands in mind, or whoever I'm working on. I'm not going to just like do something that is contrary to what I think is appropriate. You know what I mean? Just to kind of, I do try to please the people that I'm doing the work for. It's not just like a Steven show.
Have you ever had to walk away from something because you just refused to do what they were wanting?
The only thing I've walked away from, ironically, was Lord of the Rings.
Well,
I told Warner Bros. I can't do another one. I can't do another Lord of the Rings thing. And then ironically, I did some more 2 years ago, but at least there was like it felt like a 10-year break or something. It totally drained me.
well, that's not a good thing to be drained.
No.
Kevin asks, I'd like to hear Steven talk about two things. Typography. I like what he's done with text. Vivisex 6 is a good example. Raby's Typefest is very interesting. Purchased at least one vinyl album by a band I'll eventually discover that was not to my taste, only because of the design work, which was done by Steven. I also like to hear about Steven's paintings, what other painters or artists provided inspiration. Is that too much of a question, Steven?
That's a lot.
What's the relevance of painting in comparison to digital for you?
Well, it's more meditative, I guess. I put particular types of music on, usually compilations that I've made, and get in a zone and just paint. All my paintings are done initially, like instead of sketching, I do them all out on the computer now. And, from there, do a printout and paint from the printout.
I think we've run over typography and how the difference of design of the old days with Letraset expanding into the more modern world. But when was the crossover? Was there a crossover time when you got a computer for the first time?
Yeah, it was 1989. It's when I got my first computer, my first Mac. And I started doing. You still couldn't do color work on the Mac, but you could do typesetting and simple black and white graphics and things of that nature. So I got it basically so I could do my own typesetting, because I got tired of. I love Greg Sykes, but trying to tell them, no, I need a little bit more space here, and or you haven't spaced out enough or whatever. You feel bad. Like, I don't like bossing people around, so I just felt bad that I was constantly making them do changes. So
what do you use for typography in a computer?
Like to design it, you mean, or to? I use an old program from I think the last update was in 2011. So I use it's freehand. It's called.
Freehand. Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird how some of the old programs seemingly like have been forgotten and you want to go back and still use that one, but there'll be some limitation, OS crap. I mean, I've got
No, that's why I've got 3 different computers to my right here.
So do you have one that's on an OS 6.7 and shit like that? Like we have?
It's OS 10.6.8, I think is, but I have one with an older one too. But
Yeah.
that one I rarely fire up.
10.6 is pretty old though. This one that I'm working on right now is 10.9.5. And I just refuse to update it because I've got too much going on it.
Yeah. Well, there's 2, like they're all kind of hooked up through, I forget what these things are called, but I can go through each one of the computers on the same monitor, which I'm looking at now.
Oh, cool. Matthew G says, looking forward to this chat for a long time. Love your work, Steven. You've been a real inspiration to me. Being a fellow type nerd, I still have the issue of Ipso Facto 6 with your cover art. Still hoping for a full-size hardcover book of your works to drool over. My first SRG was Severed Heads, 12-inch, Dead Eyes Open, and Come Visit the Big Bigot. The symbol on the cover, we talked about it, always fascinated me. What's the story behind it?
Well, I can tell you the story behind it. Remember Rob, the Juice?
Yeah.
Well, he had some military books, and I was going through them, and it was different. I guess bombers. What are they called? Bomb squadrons.
Right.
It was based on that. It was based on one of their insignias. The bomb with the cross, not the cross. I added the cross, but basically a bomb coming down onto the world with the lightning bolts coming from it.
Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Neither do I. But if I was going to get a tattoo, that would be a good candidate.
I've got enough scars on my body to make up for any kind of test.
It's funny how a lot of artists don't have tattoos. Like Jim Cummings doesn't have any either.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'd rather spend the time to like draw it than have it being put on you.
Well, I think for me, it's more, I change my mind all the time, and I can't see myself. I mean, I've even designed some tattoos for myself, thinking that I would get it done, and then, I look at it a year later, and I'm glad I didn't get it done.
That's how I feel about every idea as far as tattoos are concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it goes. And I don't like needles.
No, I hate needles. That's why I hate going to the dentist.
Yeah, I hate needles like a lot. Sebastian, hi, Steven and Kevin. Was the cover of Borgesia's No Hope, No Fear and Inspiration for the Process cover? I'm going to say I doubt it.
I don't even know who that is. So.
Okay, so there's no. Can you talk about the artwork for Skinny's Puppy's Bites? Where did the skull images come from? Did we not say that?
No, we didn't talk about that. That was I had a vacation in England. Maybe that was when I missed the Stranglers concert. I don't know, but I went to the Bath ruins, the Roman ruins there, and there was like this skeleton in a coffin kind of thing, like a clay, or maybe it was made out of rock coffin, and I took some pictures of it. They were kind of shitty pictures, but when I printed them negative, I really liked them. And so that's where the skull images came from, is the Roman baths in Bristol.
Does that answer the question about the skull source? I hope so. Roland, what was it about Skinny Puppy's sonic output the first time you heard it that made you want to work with them, and afterwards to continue to work with them? Or was it just because Kevin is so cute? Thank you.
Well, Kevin is a good-looking guy. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know. I think it was mutual minds coming together, because I think we were both into the same kind of music. I listened to your stuff. I was thrilled with it, like the early, I guess, what's on the Back and Forth cassette. And I wanted to be part of it. And I wasn't going to let you get away. You know what I mean? I was going to, and that's why I came up with the cover design, because I really wanted to be involved.
Did I give you a copy of the cassette?
No, I think the cassette you gave me was a cassette, but it wasn't like the one with it was just like one that you'd done at home kind of thing. Well, I think you did them all at home, but
I thought I gave you one. I thought you gave you a back and forth that morning at the restaurant we were talking about, Namoto's.
I mean you could have. I hope I still have it.
Yeah, you should check.
Yeah, because a bunch of cassettes, I don't think I would have kept it in my car though, but a bunch of cassettes got stolen out of my car.
Inspiration for the creation of the cover of Tired Eyes Slowly Burning It. Hell, he's brain dead. It's
Yeah.
my all-time favorite album cover and album as well.
Well, we did kind of touch on that, but yeah, I can't remember, Kevin, did I do the painting specifically for the album cover or did I do them before? I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, that it's so ingrained in my mind now that
It was obviously like a time where we said, "Hey, we're making an album. You want to do the cover?" And you had an idea and you went for it because we had no idea what you were going to do.
okay, so I did the painting specifically for it then. Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the flames were like I mentioned earlier, they were you know, just an homage to my youth, you know, like Kevin was saying, Ed Big Daddy Roth and all that kind of culture, and the brain and the other things. They were kind of, and the Black Rose. They were based. Well, the Black Rose is based on a tattoo kind of look, anyways. But
Yeah.
and I mean, it was kind of like lowbrow art before it became popular, for sure. Like, because I was, you know, the lowbrow thing came a few years later here in LA and stuff. But it was the same kind of inspirations.
Did you ever have a hot rod?
I have one in the garage right now that's been sitting there for 10 years.
What is it?
It's a 1957 Ford Ranchero.
Oh, are you kidding me? I've never seen you drive that.
No, I know. It's got a 427 in it.
Are you kidding me? Wow, Steven, I got to come over and see that sometime.
Oh no, it's buried under boxes and stuff now.
Wow, one of those. They call those garage finds.
Yeah, well, it is a garage find now. It's been sitting in there for about 10 years without flat tires and everything. It's kind of sad, really.
That's classic. Good to hear.
It's all black too, by the way.
What's your favorite Easter egg? C. Woodfield asked from the found media you've used for an SP cover.
I would have to say from Remission. Well, Easter egg, you mean something hidden or?
Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. Have you hidden anything in Skinny Peppy covers before, Steven?
Yes. But I'm not going to say what it is.
So classic. I'm trying to touch on all these questions. People, if it got addressed and asked, I won't open them, but always love the background frames on Perpetual Intercourse and Cleanse, Fold, and Manipulate. Were they images? I think, yeah, one was steel wool and one was his roof or his frying pan.
Yeah, it was the roof in my studio and yeah, steel wool.
Someone has a question. What's your thoughts on these recent soup throwing incidents?
I think it's disgusting.
That's news to me. I don't know anything about it. Soup.
It's people that are protesting big oil companies and things like that are throwing soup onto famous
Oh no.
artwork.
Have you ever seen a car as cool as this with one of your logos on it?
No, I haven't. But it makes me wonder whether that's not Photoshop, though.
Yeah, it's probably Photoshop. So we don't know. Steven came over to my house one time, even though we don't live too far apart. It's nice when he comes over. Steven, I'd like to invite you back. Here we are with the legendary Joe Visvari.
Yeah. Yeah, and then see, I got my haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when I got into my car accident.
Steven, you sure this isn't your hot rod?
Yeah, I'm sure. That freaked me out, man. Getting hit like that.
That's you must have got hit pretty hard.
Or she hit us in the right spot, that's for sure,
Yeah.
to flip us over. Yeah, that was, it still kind of freaks me out that it was only like a year ago, or a year and a half ago, I guess. It was last March.
I also thought it was really sweet that you adopted Buddy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he's a sweetheart.
How's Buddy doing?
He's doing really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some real, he's been a lot of challenges, but I mean, he's become a real sweetheart. I think I told you, like, he used to, basically his only mode of communication was either swatting us or hissing at us. That went on for about 4 years. And then he got really sick one time and wanted to come in the house. And, I couldn't be that mean. So I let him in the house. And I really thought he was going to die, actually. I thought he was going to die that night. I even thought he died because I couldn't see him breathing or anything. He was hiding in the corner. And then, we fed him and stuff, and he got better in a few days and then took off again for a few months and then came back. The next time he came back, he was limping really bad. And we let him in the house permanently from that point on.
And so Buddy's doing okay?
Yeah, he's got, he's got kidney problems now, but, I guess that's with all cats. They eventually get that, as you would know.
Steven, we've almost broken the record for the Sunday live chat, or how long this chat has gone. But I got to say, couldn't have happened with a better person. I'm just going to end this with saying, like, I always love how you are very on it about letting people know what you think are some of the best albums ever made.
Yeah.
And you went through the efforts to compile. I think you posted. What did you post this every day for 12 days or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was great. Your interest in music is always shown through time as both a DJ and an artist, and as a person. We've always shared great memories with music, through albums, through experiences, and I've just enjoyed it immensely. And now that we're both seen each other grow from being in the 20s all the way now to we're both in our 60s, it's been an amazing trip.
It has been.
Being around you and getting to know you, and I consider you a very close and dear friend. I value you very much in my life. Thank you.
Right back at you, Kevin. Very much so. I feel the same way.
Thank you very much, Steven, today for joining us and sharing your story with us. Is there anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, not that I can think of.
We've covered quite a bit. I'd like to thank all you Patreon people for supporting. And then I received so many requests for you to be on the show. I hope this has satisfied the urge for everybody. And if they haven't, please forward me more questions and I'll send them off to Steven and post them on the page for you. All right.
All right.
All right. Steven, have yourself a wonderful Sunday.
Yeah, same to you. Love you, buddy.
Say hi to the family and I'll see you soon.
Okay.